Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I am going to be introducing a new foodie book tag. I previously had done the cheese book tag, cookie book tag, and butter book tag, which I'll leave down below if you're interested in completing those. And people have asked me whether or not I'm going to continue with other kinds of foods, and due to that interest that was expressed, I created the pasta book tag. And pasta is the best thing that you can possibly consume because there's so much that you can do with pasta. I don't have any on me right now, but I do have this cookbook about over 140 delicious recipes and 500 color photographs. And these are different creative recipes that can be made with pasta. You got a spaghetti and cod, honey and chicken pasta salad. This is linguine with lemon, chili, and spinach. And that looks like quite a delicious picture, I must say. But anyway, the way that the tag is going to work is I have 10 pastas or pasta dishes, and I am tying them in with a description that can also be equipped with a book. And we shall get right into it. First one is Macaroni and Cheese, the most heartfelt work you have ever read. As Art Smith said on an episode of Iron Chef America, there's nothing that says I love you more than a nice bowl of macaroni and cheese. The work that I chose was Tell No One by Harlan Coben. I read this back in 2008 in order to prepare for a visit that he was making to my county library. And while this novel is known much more for the thriller and suspense, I really saw a heartfelt connection that David Beck had with his wife, Elizabeth, who had disappeared some years ago. But then he got a message from her and realized that she may very well still be out there. And that whole adventure that he takes in order to look for her, that just really winds up my emotions in the way that someone can be so passionate for someone. It really gives you a warm and fuzzy feeling. And it really takes that meaning of love to a completely new level. Next one is Spaghetti and Meatballs, a work you know inside and out. Spaghetti and meatballs are probably the pasta dish that you're most familiar with. And I would probably say that what we study in school, time and time again, is what we begin to know inside and out the most, or that favorite book of yours that you read 10 or 20 times. The work that I chose was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe from the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I read this for the first time when I was much younger. My mother read it to us, my sister and I, and then we went over this in a 5th grade novel reading class. And I was pretty happy that they chose this novel because I was familiar with it and I really enjoyed it when I read it myself. I have a very strong idea of the sequence, the character development, and just all of those specific details after reading Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And this is the only time I went to the movie theater twice to see any given movie. And hopefully I can return to Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe to just solidify that interest of mine. Next is Lasagna, a work filled with complex layers. And for that I chose Andrew's Brain by E.L. Doctorow. This novel requires thinking outside of the box to understand it and also to enjoy it. Next is Stuffed Shells, a work that is attention-grabbing from start to finish. I chose Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. This also requires outside-of-the-box thinking. However, it's much easier to grasp and enjoy just because of that light nature and how it is a children's work. But Alice's Adventures in themselves offer something completely different, but yet so thought-provoking. And you get that as she meets each character, and then when she returns through the looking glass, that only continues. Next one is Penne Vodka, a work for a younger audience with an adult theme hidden inside. This can be interpreted in a few ways. You can either name a children's work that has a dark element to it, or something that is hidden for the adults to enjoy. And it can be either appropriate or a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I chose Aesop's Fables because originally, when they were written before the Common Era, they were primarily enjoyed the way that stand-up comedy was enjoyed. They weren't necessarily bedtime stories, but it's become in this day and age, children tend to be much more familiar with them. Primarily The Boy Who Cried Wolf and The Tortoise and the Hare, which in this day it was the shepherd's boy and the wolf. And if I'm not mistaken, The Tortoise and the Hare went under a very similar name, if not the same name. But the messages live on, which is the most important thing. We still use Aesop's messages in our everyday language. Next one is Elbow Macaroni, a work that is easy to read. For that I chose The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And I would say that the rest of the series is easy to read for its face value. It may not be as enjoyable, but she writes in that way that is so easy to understand, yet you really have these powerful feelings floating through your mind. You could probably see, you could see Mockingjay right in the background and Catching Fires right behind it. But I would say that The Hunger Games, which I finished in 2 days, would be an easy work to read, just as it is easy to cook and eat a bowl of elbow macaroni. Next one is Farfalle, also known as Bow Ties. And that is a work you would read to catch someone's attention. Probably the easiest way to approach this would be if you're trying to flirt with a male or female. Which book would you want them to see you reading? And what would you use to grab their attention? And for that, I chose The Complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. I think that it would be interesting for someone to know that I am an enthusiast for not just horror fiction, but also literature in general, and I think Edgar Allan Poe captures both of them. And to be friends with somebody, or to be in a relationship with somebody, with an interest for horror fiction, and also for reading in general, this would be the place to impress. Next one is Noodles. A long work that was a great experience to read. Just as they say, the Chinese custom, the longer the noodle, the longer the life. And for that, I chose Bag of Bones by Stephen King. This mass-market paperback is over 700 pages. To be exact, it is 732 pages of story. And I read much of it in one day or in one sitting. So this really caught my attention, and I was really driven into the supernatural elements in addition to the heartfelt story of Mike Noonan and his relationship with the widowed mother Maddie and her young daughter Kira. Next one is Lo Mein, your favorite work of Eastern literature or about the East. And for that, I chose This Side of Time, which is a collection of poetry by Ko-un. If you've seen my previous videos, I'm sure that you are aware of the fact that Ko-un is a magnificent poet. And his poetry is just short, sweet, to the point, and brilliant. Amazing. I'll give you one example. Fall Leaves 2. What is this mountain clothed in fall leaves? A fire of innocence. Just goes to show you nature's actions and how they aren't always, and how it's not for an intent. Sometimes it just happens because it happens. It's just so amazing. And actually, This Side of Time is the last thing that I rated 5 stars as I'm taping this video. Hopefully I find another 5-star read in the near future. Hopefully I find multiple 5-star reads in the near future. Next one is Ditalini, a writer you feel is essential to a particular genre, which the ditalini is a small pasta that is relatively essential to many soups, most notably pasta fagioli. But the 2 authors that I feel are essential to a particular genre are Ray Bradbury and Richard Matheson to speculative fiction. Speculative fiction is a broad term used to describe horror, sci-fi, fantasy, things that ask the question of what if. And Ray Bradbury's speculative fiction tends to lean toward the science fiction end, while Richard Matheson's tends to lean toward the horror end. But both of them are very influential on those other writers that write to spread a message or spark an emotion of what if, or that situational tone, which with their writing you're bound to pick up an uneasy feeling, but there is a strong, captivating reason for doing such. Next one is, what's your favorite pasta? I have many of them, but if I had to choose a few, it would be angel hair, lasagna, stuffed shells, and penne alla vodka. The first 3 I enjoy topped with homemade tomato sauce and topped off with pecorino romano cheese, grated on top. And finally, Sunday night at Grandma's, who do you tag? I'm going to tag 10 people since this is the original. And I will tag Amy from the Dusty Bookshelf, Grace from Grace Libby. Both have completed my other foodie book tags, so I hope you enjoy completing the pasta book tag. I also tag Adrian and Dalton from Strip Covered Lit, Alyssa from Sushi Dragon Master, Melissa from The Bookish Babbler, Shannon from Shannon Rose Reads, Julie from A Girl in a Book, Jen from Checker Joy, RJ from The Secret Stacks, and Michael from Knowledge Lost. I hope you have a good time with this tag, and I'll be sure to keep an eye out and watch it when it is released. Thank you for tuning in to the Pasta Book Tag and to another video from Literary Gladiators. For now and as always, keep reading.